calling this meeting to order. It's September 8th, 2021, Salem Public Library Advisory Board. There we go. Let's have the approval of minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Catherine?
Nothing substantive, but just several typos on page 2.
Okay, and they are?
Well, line 1, meet should be met. Line 2, posted should be postponed. Next paragraph, line 1, consulate should be consultant. Halfway down, paragraph starting with my name. 1, 2, 3, 4. Line 4 should be donated, not donation.
Okay.
Or it could be, put A in 300 BA donation to tab.
Let's keep it with donated. Let's say donated. Thank you, Gretchen, but I think that sounds 300B not donated to tab. That kind of makes sense. I also thought that in that same paragraph, the second line, it should be lab members proposed a friendly amendment to change the amount to 300 instead of conducted. I think proposed would be better there. So any other corrections or additions? All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as corrected?
I move that we accept the minutes as corrected.
All right. We need a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Denise. And all in favor, give a thumbs up or some kind of, okay, great. All right, we have approved the minutes. Is there any public comment, Clarissa or Sarah, that we received?
No public comment.
Okay. I am going to do a little kind of a check-in fun thing. I hope it's fun. If it's not, that's your problem.
Attitude.
Well, okay. This is the library board, so I thought we could take turns telling about either something we're reading or a book that you really have really enjoyed. So I will start, and then I will say someone else's name. And if you can't think of anything or you don't want to participate, just say skip and say somebody else's name. So I'm reading this. Oh, you can't see it. Okay, it's A Girl is a Body of Water, and it's by Jennifer Makumbi. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. It's a coming of age novel about a young girl that lives in Uganda, and it's just delightful. She's trying to find her way, and she's trying to find her mother because she was left by her mother. So Sarah B, do you have something to share about books?
So one of the things I'm reading is George Saunders' book, A Swim in the Pond in the Rain, which is his readings of various Russian short stories. So it's kind of a description of the way he teaches a class on Russian literature for his writing students, creative writing students. Highly recommend.
How fun. Say the name again, please, Sarah.
The author is Swim in a Pond in the Rain is the title of the book. It's based on a short story by Chekhov. The title.
Do we have to know Russian?
No, and he includes the Russian short stories in translation. So you can read the short stories and his commentary on them.
Oh, cool. Oh, by the way, Sarah, I found out we have friends in common. Bill Smaldone and Jennifer Jott live next door. So anyway.
They're very dear friends of mine. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. And our kids have grown up together. Anyway, how about you, Francine? What have you been reading? You're muted.
All this,
Oh.
Clarissa, all this will be in our minutes. So I don't have to take notes about Sarah's favorite book and Francine's favorite book. Yeah.
Hi. So I have a lot of favorites, one of which I gave to Sarah Bishop, and I wondered if she enjoyed it. But I am tackling, and that's really the word for it, a book called Stalin's War. And you can tell it's big. And I was happy to get it through the Salem Public Library, even though I couldn't find it. There were many reserves on it in Washington and Multnomah counties. So I'm handling it sort of one chapter at a time. And I'm discovering what a monster Stalin was, more of a monster than I thought. And I thought he was pretty bad to begin with. So I'm really enjoying it. My background, my education was mostly like sort of technical stuffs. So I sort of missed a lot of the deep delves on things. And I'm just now getting to do some of those deep delves.
Great. Is it nonfiction?
Correct. It's nonfiction for sure.
Okay. Gretchen, how about you? You're muted.
I'm reading Hamilton, the big turnout book. And I had a little accident, so I couldn't wear glasses for a month. And so now I'm getting back to it. But it's a long go. But I had read My Dear Hamilton, which is a fictional account of his wife, Eliza. But it's really interesting. And there's so much I did not know about American history, US history. And it's all coming. And then I also saw the production of Hamilton. And so now it all makes sense. So, yeah.
You're a lucky person to have seen that.
I saw it on television, on the Disney Channel.
Okay, me too.
But I'm dying to see it in live. It'll be in Portland this year.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, so, but the book is very well written, very approachable. And so detailed, but not too detailed.
Got it.
And brings things into focus. So, and
all right,
Francine, I lived in a Stalinist country. Actually, it was a total of 3.5 years, 2 different Stalinist countries. So I know all the stories from the people who've lived through it. So, yeah.
Catherine, how about you?
I just started the last book that Ursula Le Guin wrote, book of essays and book reviews. And I've read The Left Hand of Darkness, but I hadn't read any of her essays or book reviews before. And so far, it's really good. And of course, she's one of our own. And so I'm looking forward to reading the rest of it.
Great. Sounds good. Denise?
Well, I'm not reading a book. I am reading some Buddhist magazines, but I'm taking some courses on the library public. In fact, they are the library courses. They are free courses about library because I elected not to do the United. I found a whole bunch of them on the course. Last one that I took was on library marketing, and this is fascinating. Now, you can see that it's dated, but it had a lot of really good material in there. So I did my own experiment, and I went around town, and everywhere I went, I would start wrapping up about the library. Oh, have you seen, some of the books that you can get and this kind of thing? Many of the people I spoke to were retail clerks who were quite a bit younger, say at Life Source grocery store. and places like that. And I was telling them about all the free films you can get, because that's what they're really interested in. That's when they really perk up, is when you tell them all the movies you can get and they're for free. And do you know that people do not know what is in the library, what they can access? They don't know that their taxes pay for all of these materials. They don't know that stuff. So yeah, they were excited and interested in getting library cards.
Yay.
Wow,
Thank
so
you,
that's
Denise,
interesting experiment.
our very own library missionary, with all the good connotations of that. That's awesome. Sarah Schraub, only one book, please.
Dang it. I have 2 series. No, I just finished and I love them so much that I listened to them twice on Cloud Library. This YA series called the Simon Snow Trilogy, and I loved it. Well, it's really more new adult. It's like they're 18, 19, 20 years old, and it's set kind of mostly in the UK. One book is set in America, and I loved it so much. It just made me so happy. And so that's my most recent, and those were all downloads, audiobooks through Cloud Library.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay, Salem Public Library. Kim, do you want to comment on the book? Kim Carroll.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just finished On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous. It's by Ocean Vuong. He's a Vietnamese American, and he's 32 years old. He's won oodles of poetry awards, and this is based kind of loosely on his life story. And it's formatted in a letter to his mother, who made a living working at a nail shop. And it's a really touching and beautiful book, and it's already going to be made into a movie, I guess. So, yeah.
I read that book and recommended it to my book club, but they didn't really like it. So I don't know. It's very beautifully written. He is a poet. I mean, that was
Yes.
Who's the author?
Yeah.
It's Ocean Vuong, and it's Vuong. Vuong is the last name.
Okay. Who else do we have? Callan, what have you read lately, or something, a favorite book that you?
Well, I've been a little busy with work, so I will admit I'm not really reading anything at the moment, and haven't been able to pick up a book for enjoyment for a while. So unless it's email related or new COVID related rules in schools, I haven't been doing too much reading.
Well, I know how that is when you've got a young one at home, and yeah.
Hopefully,
how about you, Bill?
Hopefully soon.
I'm reading The Daniel Prayer by Anne Graham Lotz, and I love Tamara Alexander. I'm going to read all her books. Romantic stories about post-slavery in the South. Very authentic, very well written.
That sounds interesting. Wow. Tab people, Max, would you like to tell about a book that you've read recently, or a favorite book?
No, thank you.
Okay. Katie McManus, would you?
Katie, and I'm currently reading Dear Evan Hansen book.
Oh,
I didn't hear that.
It's Katie, and I'm currently reading the Dear Evan Hansen book.
Oh, okay. Is that a series?
No, it's a book based off of the musical Dear Evan Hansen.
Okay. Clarissa?
I think I'm in the same boat as Callan. It's mostly emails these days.
Well, That happens. Yes. I hope you get to a place where you can read a book soon. Carol, how about a book you've read? Carol Bowler. Oh. Okay, maybe she's checked out.
Carol, you're muted if you're there.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't unmute the way it normally does. I'm actually rereading a series, a spin-off series by a woman named Shelley Lawrenston, and their contemporary fantasy about the shapeshifters that live among us. And one of the really cool things about them, they're hysterically funny if you have the right sense of humor, which has to be a little on the dark side, I think. But she did a lot of research on the real animals that her people shift into. And so her characters, live only sort of in a quasi-human way, because they have a lot of the social and other characteristics of the animals that they shift into. And it makes for very interesting stories. Right now I'm reading the Honey Badger Chronicles, and yeah, I really love her. She's one of my go-to people when I just, have had enough. And I just want to go away somewhere and laugh occasionally. So that's what I'm reading.
Sounds good, Carol. Sonia? Oh, Sonia? You want to talk about a book or not?
Sure. Yeah, I actually just finished a fairly new book called Sitting in St. James by Rita Williams Garcia. And it's a fantastic sort of multi-layered story of life on a plantation in Louisiana in 1860, just as things are starting to come apart and we're heading into the Civil War. It's a great examination of the roots of race and racism in America.
What is the name of it again?
Yeah, what's the title again?
It's called A Sitting in St. James.
A Sitting, S-I-T-T-I-N-G?
Yeah.
I love, is it fiction, but it's historical fiction, or?
Yes. Yeah,
okay, I love those kind of books.
Deeply rooted in history, but it is a fictional story.
Yeah. Michelle, how about you? Emails, or do you have other things that you're reading?
Sure, thank you. I'm reading a book called Make the Rules or Your Rivals Will by Richard Schell. He's a professor at the Wharton School of Business, and it talks about the intersection of law and business. So probably what you'd expect from a lawyer. But now I know where to come for great ideas for books to read. I also need to let you know I developed a conflict and I'm going to have to drop off shortly after 6. So I apologize for that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're here for as long as you can be. Okay. Well, that was cool. And maybe, I don't know if somebody is, yes.
Can I give a couple recommendations that I got through United Libraries, the conference?
Okay.
Okay. We were able to listen to Ruth Ozeki, who is our Salem Reads author.
Yeah.
She talked about her new book, The Book of Form and Emptiness. And it hasn't been brought out yet, so the library doesn't have it yet because none of these books have been released yet. Well, with the exception of Meg Waite Clayton's The Postmistress of Paris. That is out. And then there's David Wright Falade, who has Black Cloud Rising. And then the one that I'm dying to get my hands on is Daniel Black and his Don't Cry for Me. And it's about the reckoning between a Black father and son and their story, which is a very personal story. And so
great.
We were able to listen to these 4 authors. It was phenomenal, just phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Particularly to hear Ruth Ozeki speak. And unfortunately, she's very, very expensive. So it'll, you know, these authors is oftentimes difficult to get them to come and speak for anything, foundations or any event, but fascinating people. But I'm dying to get my hands on the Book of Form and Emptiness.
I'm sure the library will get it at some point.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
for those of you who don't know, Gretchen, who is our liaison with the Salem Foundation, their executive director decided to pay for Gretchen's way to go to the United Libraries conference forum, whatever it was. And so they, you know, she could report to the foundation and to us. So that was really nice of Kate to do that. And it sounds like you've gotten some good information.
Yeah,
so that's great.
Got a lot out of it. It was very good.
All
and
right.
that a former person who used to be with Salem Library, who is now up in Washington with the Washington Library Association.
All right. Okay, enough fun. Let's get to business. Let's have the Teen Advisory Board people give their report.
All right, hello, my name is Max Bishop. I use he, him pronouns, and I go to South Salem High School. I'm a senior. The report for my part is work has continued behind the scenes to be ready for the reopening of the main library, and we've made several purchases for the Take What You Need project, including hangers, personal items to hang on the hangers and put in the hangers, and a secure indoor drop box for anyone who might be interested in donating items. TAB members have gathered brochures from several local service agencies to give people information they may need about food pantries, suicide intervention, domestic violence intervention, and parenting information. Now that we're at the main library, we've also purchased and set up the music exploration station in the teen scene. This was a Sprinkles grant from the Salem Public Library Foundation requested by the Teen Advisory Board to make instruments available for teens who want to test one out, practice, or organize a jam session. We now have a keyboard, electric drum, guitar, ukulele, tambourine, and kalimba that will be available in the teen scene area when we open.
And I'm Katie. My pronouns are she, her, and I go to Summit Learning Charters. The Teen Advisory Board got to take a preview tour of the renovated main library with some of the finishing touches. We're still being worked on. We were dazzled by how different and bright and fresh the library looked. The teen scene was so huge and beautiful, and we were really glad that the chalk bowl was still in our hangout space. I got to go, and it was really awesome seeing just how the teen scene, where the teen scene moved to, and just the new look of the teen scene. I think it looks really nice, especially not having a neon green wall, because that was kind of a bit much for the eye. And then tomorrow we will be having our first official meeting with our 5 new Teen Advisory Board members, and we will be announcing officers for the 2021 to 2022 year. Thank you.
You're muted, Lois.
Thank you, Max and Katie. Any questions? Oh, I did have a question. What's a kalimba? That was one of the instruments. Anybody know? Okay.
It's one of those little handheld things that you play with your thumbs. It's got like little prongs, and you make music by playing the little deep, 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 deep. I'm not doing it justice, but that's what it is.
Okay, those Those are also, yeah,
Thank you,
called,
Max.
they're called mbiras also.
Awesome. Lois, you're muted again.
Okay, any other questions? All right, Chair's report. I don't really have much, except when I was reading Sarah's report. I was just so happy that we're going places and we're enrolling people with 33 library cards were issued at the Northgate Summer Fun Outreach event, and books at the church at the park. So I think these are really wonderful outreach things that we are doing, and that makes me happy. City Librarians report. Okay. City Librarians report. Go, Sarah.
So we had a whole report that you were going to get on all of the things we had done to prepare and all sorts of other things. And that had to be scrapped and replaced with a little bit of a change. Obviously, the reopening has been postponed due to COVID. The city has decided that Center 50 Plus and the library would be postponing both of our openings and our celebrations for opening until a better time. And there's nothing really determined about that yet. We have started just today our curbside service, and I have to say there were tables and tables and tables of books in bags ready to be taken home by our patrons. And our book drops have opened, so there is 24/7 book drop at the main library, and we are working on getting a map up that will have I think people are having a little bit of a hard time finding the book drop because the location has changed. So we are putting up a map with the new location. And I'm happy to entertain questions. Right now, we're just trying to play it by ear and figure out what we can do. And I have to give major kudos to Kim, the leadership team, and all of the library staff who pulled together really, really quickly and got curbside up and running. And we have curbside has 1,220 appointments now, and that's more than it's almost twice what we had at our peak in Broadway. And we also have more hours, so we're able to do it all of the hours that the library is was supposed to be open. We're now doing curbside all of those hours. So I'm happy to take questions on the report, but that's kind of the basic update about what's going on. And as soon as I know more, you'll know more.
Francine?
I have a question. If the library had reopened, would you be continuing any version of curbside service? Because there are many people, particularly elderly, who may have reservations about going into a building.
That's a great question. So we weren't planning on starting it right away when we reopened, because our focus was just on getting the doors open. But we were thinking about how to best do that in the new setup and everything, and how to provide some level of curbside service. And yeah, that will, even when we do reopen, I think that will be something we need to be thinking about for the future, because you're right. There are people that is definitely the best way for them to access our services. Although I will also say, especially for people who might be homebound or something like that, to remember that there is a Operation Bookshelf, our group with the Assistance League. There is a wait list to be enrolled into that, because there's only so much that those volunteers and the folks who are staffing that can do. But it's a great program. And if people really need it, then I would highly recommend that they get signed up for the wait list now. And it is meant to target, people who are homebound, people who actually cannot leave their house. So.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Sarah, I'm sorry, what is the name of that program?
It's called Operation Bookshelf.
Thank you. Okay.
And actually right now, the version of it that we have, because it's more contactless than ever before, we're calling it Operation Front Porch. So yeah.
I picked up some books today, and yeah, I was surprised at how many books were bagged and ready to have people pick them up. And I think there were like 3 or 4 people, distance apart, coming to pick up books, and that was nice to see that. Let's move on to Friends of the Salem Library. Carol. You might be muted, Carol. I don't know.
There, I
There you
was
go.
muted. I'm sorry, I'm having so much trouble with that today. The thing that I used to do to unmute no longer works, and anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, the day before we were going to open. So, the new bookstore is, for all intents and purposes, ready to go. And we're excited to be back in the library whenever that actually happens. We're still moving stuff out of the Broadway site, but our lease on that goes until the end of October. And so we are kind of thinking, it's really unclear whether this is practically feasible, but we are thinking about whether we could do some sort of mini book sales in that space. And if we did it, they'd be sort of like our one-day book sales that we have had in the summer, where it's just one category of books, or maybe 2, like we have a children's sale and a fiction and mystery sale. So it would be something like that, because there's a front door and a back door, so we can kind of shove people through in one direction. But if we have more than 1 or 2 categories of books, then you've got the problem of people, trying to crawl over other people to get to what they're interested in. So, it would be something like that they'd probably be weekend only, starting toward the end of October, and then, toward the end of September maybe, and then through October, or maybe just in October. Anyway, that's very up in the air, because, as I said, we're still, trying to move out and get everything arranged at the library. The bookstore has come together very nicely, but Dana's work area downstairs is still in progress, and we continue our recruitment efforts. We have 1 new board member, and I think right now we have applications for 2 others that
Great.
we're very excited about. So, really happy about that. And I think that's everything. Questions?
Yes, may I ask a question, please?
Sure, Denise.
Carol, how do you get donations? I am looking at uncluttering my bookshelf. How do we get books to you?
Well, that's kind of on hold right now.
Okay.
Because of, just not really having a home that can be open, so to speak. And because Dana, who's like the main person who processes our donations, is completely buried in getting the store and her work area put together.
Probably sometime in September, we will start making appointments. If you've got a couple of boxes, 2 or 3 bags, something that you could sort of comfortably carry into the bookstore, we can take a small donation like that and just, we'll stash it behind the counter and then take it downstairs. But anything larger than that, we're going to be doing by appointment. So you or whoever it is would have to call the bookstore and arrange a convenient time. And then we would meet up with you at the Librarian and take your stuff away from you. And I guess I don't really have a sense of when we'll get that back underway, but hopefully it'll be within a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry I don't have better information, but that's kind of where we are right now.
All right, any other questions for Carol? Thanks, Carol.
Thank you.
Okay, Gretchen, what's happening at the foundation?
Well, we didn't have a meeting last month, and we're having it this week. So,
okay.
Yeah, but Kate and I and Eric have been working in the library for 2 weeks, setting up the art. It was fabulous. Well, actually, this was a month ago that we were doing this, but we spent 2 weeks solid placing the art to be hung. And it's fabulous. That library is just magical. So
I can't wait I've seen it since it's been done, but I haven't seen it since the art. I saw the big art piece,
yeah.
But it'll be great to see all the different pieces of art.
That and with the books, with all the books up and I have to say, while we were there, the library staff was just phenomenal. They were so helpful, and just the energy there is very good.
Yeah, that's my feeling too.
Yeah.
We love our library, yay, and librarians, and whatever the other people called, like non-library people that work at the library.
You can just call everybody library staff. We're all
library staff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go to the library tour. Catherine.
Okay, well, Gretchen and I did a tour of the Eugene Library and the 2 branches in February of last year, just before the pandemic. And I took a number of photos. So I'm wondering if Clarissa can put them on now, and then Gretchen and I can speak to them. I think they gave us some ideas, and thought that others might like to see what we came up with.
I know Clarissa was testing this earlier today, so it might take her a minute, but I do know she was working on it.
Yeah,
So.
give me 1 second. It's just
okay.
It's lagging a little bit.
Thanks, Clarissa.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. And Gretchen, pipe in, please. So the main library is about 3 floors, and right smack downtown Eugene. Oh no, don't go yet. I'm not ready yet. Go back. Okay.
Okay. So let me know when you want me to switch slides.
Okay. This is we started with the children's section, and I like this because at the end of each shelf there were like these little games on the that you can see, these hands-on games, as well as books that were open at the top of the shelves. Okay, next one. And there are also tables and chairs, again, with some more hands-on things for kids to do. So not just books. That was cool. Next one. And these learning kits that kids could take home. And whether they're homeschooled or whether they're not. That looked interesting to us. Next one. This is all the foreign language material, which is which was a lot. The first 3 shelves here are all Spanish materials, and then the rest of them are all kinds of other languages, quite a few surprising other languages. Next slide. Oop. Did you skip one? There we go. Look at these unusual languages. They had like 2 or 3 in a given language. Made me think that probably they were donations. I don't know how you would choose 2 or 3 books of just one language. So I'm guessing they were just donated to the library. But some of the more unusual languages. Okay, next slide. I like this. This was kind of a little competition among very young children to see who can read 1,000 or not, who can have read to them 1,000 books before kindergarten, which is pretty ambitious. So actually, I guess it's more of a parent competition. So that was kind of cool. Next slide. And these are puppets. Another hands-on thing for kids to do. Next slide. A lot of CDs, music CDs for kids and adults. Next slide. Little help for young ones to get to the water fountains. Next slide. This is the main reference librarian on the 2nd floor. So the kids section is on the 1st floor. Now we've gone up to the 2nd floor. So this is where she is. Next slide. And their computers are in the middle of the main room, like ours will be. They have little compartments, little privacy walls around them, but they are in the middle. So pretty visible, pretty centrally located. Next slide. And this is a really nice big reading room. Tables and chairs. I guess people could study here or just read. A lot of good light. Next slide. This is my favorite part, the seed library. That was formerly a card catalog. I looked, it looks like only part of it's being used now, and they're just vegetable and fruit seeds, but of course it could include flower seeds as well. So one would have to get hold of a card catalog. I don't know if they're easy to come by these days or not, but I thought it was a cool idea. Next slide. This is going up a floor to the 3rd floor, and this is a reader's advisor. So she's makes suggestions to people who are looking for books to read. That's what she does. Next slide. And this is the ground floor where people come in through these doors. And this person is a volunteer here, and she fields just general questions like, where's the bathroom? And, you know, what floor has what kinds of library materials and that sort of thing. Next slide. Okay, this is from her perspective, looking towards the slot where the books are returned. And there's the stairs leading up to the 2nd and 3rd floors. It's a newish building. I don't know if you remember, Gretchen, how old it is.
Well, I was living in Eugene when they were building. It was well over 20 years ago.
Oh, really? Wow. It's really modern to me.
It is. It seems very, very contemporary.
Yeah. Next slide.
I think it was also remodeled at some point. So maybe there was a remodeling in between there.
There could have been. Yeah.
So the doors of the library to the right, and this is like an atrium, and the doors to the outside are to the left. And this is a little cafe right here, which is really sweet. Right next to, just out, immediately outside the library. Next slide. So here's one of the two branches. And this branch seemed to have a lot of children's materials to me, adult and children, but a lot of children materials. Next slide.
And these branches were in a former, well, that's a drive-through. I think it was a Wells Fargo bank at one point. And they've converted this building. It's a standalone building in the area of a strip mall. And then the other one, which we'll see, is also in a strip mall, but within the connected storefronts.
Right. I don't think you can drop your books off on a drive-by basis here.
Well, I'm wondering because you see that white box underneath. I'm wondering if that's a book drop because I don't independently remember.
I don't remember either, but it sure would make sense. What else would it be?
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense. Yeah.
I mean, you've got the drive-through, so why not use it?
Why not?
Exactly.
So next slide. So this is the other branch that's in a little shopping center. And it's not very big, and you can see how they really made the most of the space they have. Instead of having one wall with books, they have all these little intrusions. So they've got multiple sides, 1, 2, 3, 4. They've really made good use of the space here. And again, a lot of children's materials in particular.
Well, and it's in the a neighborhood of a family neighborhood. So there would, lots of kids or families can walk there.
Next slide. Oh, yeah, this is read and return. So it's a little different from our friends of the library that sells books, but these don't have to be checked out. It's like a little library.
Like a neighborhood.
Yeah, like a neighborhood little library. Yeah. But I think it's nice that we actually get a little bit of money for our books that we sell because it's helpful to us. Next slide. So this is one of the branch libraries. It just has a lot more periodicals than I thought it would. A lot more magazines than I would think a little branch library would have.
But this is in the neighborhood. Again, you have young mothers, a lot. It's a very family neighborhood, and so they would, utilize this.
Right. Next slide. And this is the last slide. Here's the library. You can see the storefront is very narrow. See the little open sign? That's one end of it, and the other is where the book drop-off bin is. So it's a very narrow little tiny space, really. And it's just in a kind of a funky old little strip mall, nothing special, but it seems to be well used. And that's the last slide I have. Any thoughts? Any input? Anybody who's been to any other libraries who has anything to add?
When I visited the Eugene Library, there was one thing, and I didn't take any pictures or anything, but they had these little like portable charging stations that you could move around. And I thought that was really helpful so that like if you wanted to charge your phone or something, you didn't have to find a plug, that these were like all around. And I thought, wow, that was really cool. And that might even be something that like the library advisory board could buy, as a gift to the library. But do you remember seeing those?
I don't remember seeing that. Did you, Gretchen?
I don't remember that.
They were used a lot, and I mean there were a lot of people, charging their phones and things. Sarah?
I was just going to chime in and say that we are going to have some charging stations around the library that the foundation has provided for us for when we do open.
Right.
Yay, awesome. Yay.
So I've been visiting some playgrounds in the Portland area, in Wilsonville as well. And I found that a couple of playgrounds have where they have larger spaces to walk with walkways, have like walking books. So there's a book that like a page from double page from a book that has pictures, and one side of it, it tends to be something you could read a few sentences, and the other facing side kind of is more words. And I thought, what a great idea. And since the first time I saw that was in Wilsonville, and then I saw another one, I think it might have been in Hillsborough. I thought, this is a really great idea, because it's actually the one I saw in Wilsonville was actually sponsored by some local businesses. Even though the library was involved in it, local businesses contributed to it. So I thought that was a cool way to people out walking, language. It's just like reading, seeing words, hearing language, everything that will help children develop their vocabulary, opportunities for that. And then also prompts about the site where it is, like integrated into the area, like the trees and whatever. Okay.
That sounds very cool. That's neat. Hey, Sarah, can you tell us more about the story walk downtown? How does that work?
It basically you go to the starting point and walk through it, and as you go through, it tells you it basically is a different page of a book, and you read the story as you go along, and you find the next step there. So yes, that I think it's similar to what Francine is referring to. Yeah, and it's a temporary. We've done a few of them already in the past.
Where do you start?
Good question. I don't remember off the top of my head. Kim, do you remember? No. Yeah, we need Sonia here for that question. Sonia or Jessica. But I can find out and send you all.
So you start, and then does it tell you the next place? Is that like
I think you can see it.
or?
I think they're pretty close. They're not super far.
Okay.
Like you can see the next one along the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else about the Eugene Library? So if you visit another library, take some pictures, and maybe we will get some great ideas like this. And I think it's always good to check into other libraries and get ideas. And it's fun.
I have to add, when I went into the Eugene Library, I was, blown away. Oh, it's so beautiful, so forth. And then when Catherine, I saw her photos that she had sent earlier, and suddenly it seemed dark compared to the new Salem Library. Just having that different experience, and having spent 2 weeks in our new library, suddenly the Eugene Library seemed very dark, but it's still beautiful. But ours, it shifted my perspective, so.
Yes.
But I'm really, really impressed with the satellite libraries. I really want to see if we can somehow go forward with those kind of ideas.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure it's a lot more expensive than it seems, but it seems like doable.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's some buildings that are standing empty.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so onward. Strategic plan, survey, and research. So the strategic plan is kind of on hold for a while. But if you remember from one of our previous meetings, we voted on a list of things that we would like to see sort of addressed in the strategic plan. Branch libraries, Monday hours, the collection development policy, fines, budget enhancement, and wild ideas. And so, Catherine, help me with this. We were sort of thinking it would be advantageous if members of the Library Advisory Board were interested in perhaps researching some of these areas, like say fines. What do other libraries in Oregon do about fines? The collection development policy. What do other libraries do about foreign language books? What kind of collections do they have about with that? Or budget enhancement? How do other libraries get money? What are the other tax funds that maybe we aren't tapping? So I'm hoping that people will volunteer, because if you don't, then we will come to your house and make you do it. No, perhaps, if you have an area of interest, maybe you would like to pick one to sort of do some research, and then you bring it back, of course, to the lab and, share that information. That would be really helpful. Catherine, what do you have to add?
Well, I think you've said it all.
Okay.
Even if somebody only wanted to take a piece of something or wanted to do it with, together with one of us, or even if somebody was curious about one of them or wanted to know a little more before you commit. Yeah, I think you covered it otherwise.
I think the wild ideas would be fun, because you could just flood us with all these amazing things that other people are doing, and that'd be cool. I don't want to take the time to do it myself, because we're hopefully going to be starting our steering committee strategic plan, and that will take time. And anyway, so let me know, or let Catherine know, what you might be willing to do. It's easy, you just Google something, or you ask somebody, or you go somewhere, and we could get some cool information and help us with our strategic planning. So think about it and then do it. All righty.
Quick
Denise.
question, please. Yes.
Yes,
I'm interested in that, so I'm excited that you brought that up. But one of the concerns that I have is, I think it would be fun to work again with anybody, but I really enjoyed Francine and Catherine and some of the things, but I'm a little concerned about the legal aspect of, I think you commented something about working with someone, and I can do some research, but I would prefer a little mentoring. I could tap into Sarah, say, or you, but how does that play out?
I think sorry, Denise, I don't mean to. Right. That's a very good concern, because public meeting law could come into play here. But I think one of the things to remember is that staff have actually done a lot of research into these things in creating our policies and things like that. So the first step might be for me to see what I can find from this research that we've done, and start there. And I would be happy to go back and find some of the research on, fine read that we've done, and on the collection development policy that helped us build the collection development policy, and any other, in that list of things, and make sure that you guys all have that to start with, and then we could go from there. And yes, Denise, I would be happy to help you with any further research that you would be looking into.
That would be very helpful. As the steering committee people, we haven't gotten any of that, so we're just kind of like fiddling in the dark. And I actually think it would be a good way to get lab members involved and empowered to bring ideas on our own, because maybe we'll bring up something that the library hasn't even thought about.
Right. I just want to remind everybody, and this is something we'll continue to talk about, that we're still in the process of getting the survey out. Hopefully the survey will happen next week, and be out. One of the things we want to do is make sure that we're actually responding to what the community identifies as some of those high interest areas and things like that. So I just want to remind everyone not to get too far ahead of that part of the process, because we want to know what it is the community wants. And Lois, I realize that there are some things that you guys are also interested in, including like the Library of Things survey results and things like that, that I have completely neglected to get to you. So I would be happy to send you some of those things as well. And I'll make sure that Sarah from Coraggio has those, so that she can use those in what the Coraggio group is building for their processes and their research and things like that as well.
Just FYI, I did send a letter to Coraggio from telling them that we would be happy, the Library Advisory Board would be happy to, assist them in any way possible, letting them know about our community, whatever they needed, and they did not respond. So that was a little bit disappointing. So this is a way to get involved, and if you don't think you're doing something in the legal way, just ask Sarah, and she will tell you what. If she's involved, then it's legal. The way I understand it.
If I'm involved and we make sure that we're not talking about things that we would be talking about in this group, then, or in the steering committee group, then yes, we can make that happen. It's a little more nuanced than just if I'm involved. If I'm involved, I can help steer the conversation in the directions that would keep us out of any sort of issues. I would want to make sure that anything that could even remotely lead to a decision point by this group or by the steering committee are things that we're having those conversations in public.
So my thought, Sarah, was that if somebody does research and they bring it back to the lab, what would be the problem?
I think what Denise is saying is that she wants to do the research. She just doesn't want to get into an issue where she's doing the research and somebody else is helping her, and then they get into a conversation. I mean, Denise, please feel free to jump in if I'm getting anything wrong here. But what I'm hearing is that you're concerned about getting into, making recommendations that would eventually become decision points rather than just doing research, right? And getting to places where you could be kind of on that slippery slope of public meeting law. And Michelle, who had to leave early today, she will be here next month to do the training that we postponed on ethics as well. So there will be more opportunities to get clarification from her on any things that you do have questions about in regards to public meeting law and being on this board and ethics around all of that. So so I just wanted to put that out there as well.
Good question, Denise, but get out there and get that information is all I can say. Okay, elections. Yeah. So we are going to be electing a president, not a president, a chair, a vice chair, and a liaison to the foundation. So let's, it's a little awkward with me running or not running as the chair, whatever. Let's just do it. So let's start with chair. Are there any nominations for the chair position?
I nominate Lois.
Okay, I do accept that nomination. Sarah, do you know, do we have to have a second? I don't.
I mean, I think you could have a second.
Okay.
Francine is raising her hand 2 seconds.
Francine, are you seconding? Okay, Francine seconds. Are there any other nominations for chair? Okay. So all in favor of Lois as the chair, give an indication. Yay! Okay. Oh, sorry, probably shouldn't have said that. I'm going to do it for one more year, and then that's it. That, just so you know.
Lois.
So we've elected Lois. Yes.
For the record, I don't think we got anything from Bill. I just want to, so Clarissa has the record on that. I just want to make sure that Bill gets his opportunity to weigh in. And Bill, you're muted in case you were to.
Awkward.
Okay, maybe
okay.
Not. Yeah.
Well, I guess it could be an abstention. Anyway.
Well, is he still with us?
Well, his name is there and his he's on mute.
Yeah. It may be that he's left the room for a minute or something and just didn't hear that conversation. So we can, yeah. All right. We'll figure that out for Clarissa. Thanks.
Okay, Sarah, maybe you can email him and see what his vote was or something. So now I will take nominations for vice chair. Francine?
Francine, you're on mute.
I nominate Catherine for continuing in the position of vice chair. I nominated her last year for it, and she's done a great job.
Yeah. I second.
Gretchen seconds. All righty. She's been a great help to me. Oh, probably shouldn't have said that. Anyway, all in favor of Catherine as vice chair? Okay, I think everybody did that. All right, and so now every year we elect a liaison to the foundation, and Gretchen has done that this year, and I have to say, I think she did a very good job. And we can have her again. So what are the nominations for liaison to the Salem Library Foundation?
I would like to nominate Gretchen, please.
All right, thank you, Denise. Is there a second? Catherine seconds.
I'll second that.
All right, she's been a great help doing the art at the foundation. Anyway, all in favor say whatever, say aye or thumbs up or something. Yay. Still no bill, but okay, that's done. So we have Lois as chair, Catherine as vice chair, and Gretchen as the liaison. And we are going to have a fabulous year coming up. One more year. Woohoo! The only other thing is the financial update. And I asked Sarah to look at where we are financially. And it looks to me like the total was something like, I have it somewhere. I had everything out and now I can't find it. Oh, there it is. $201,399.22. So that's even after we gave the $10,000 to the Willamette Heritage Center, because that's already taken out. So I think we're pretty healthy. I kind of want to spend some money and use it for some good stuff, like we gave to the Teen Advisory Board to do the, what was it called? Take one or something. All right, any other items of business? Catherine.
I just wanted to share with the lab that the $10,000 has been dispersed by the city to the Willamette Heritage Center, and they sent a thank you email to us. So they're happy.
Great.
And it enabled them to get the matching funds from their other source.
It's nice to get a thank you when we give money. I have to say that. And I'm hoping we might get a little press when everything gets started, and when the project is more in its way, that we gave some money to that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We're done. See you next month, and be joyful, read books, have a good time.